Hi there, this is Janine Sews. I talk about sewing a wardrobe for a woman 50 plus. Whether this is your first time or your 20th time visiting my channel, welcome and thank you so much for pressing play. In this video I'm going to talk about sewing some long-sleeved things for the cooler weather that is to come. It's a beautiful day here today. However, the S word is in the forecast for next week. Saw one forecast that said flurries, another one that said 10 centimeters. So that means it's really time to get ready for the cooler weather. I am working on a relatively methodical wardrobe rework now that I am not going to an office every day. And one of the things that I know I needed is a couple of long sleeve tops that are going to look nice, where I'll feel presentable and good whether I'm wearing them at home all day or whether I'm going out for lunch or on errands. Therefore, it was rather timely that I found a challenge online for the month of October 2023, and the challenge is to make something with long sleeves. I'm going to tell you about the challenge after I tell you about my top. But if you've watched my channel before, you might know that I'm a contest and challenge junkie. So if there's any way to spur me to actually do something, is put the word challenge or contest in front of it, and then I will definitely do it. So there was the long sleeve challenge, and that just kind of pushed me to make something with long sleeves that's cozy a little bit sooner than I may have otherwise. Now, I looked in my closet, there's nothing there. I keep all my fabric in a closet. There's nothing there that excited me, so I decided to go out and look for some fabric first, hoping that it would spur on some ideas, and it did. I went to Rick Rack here in Calgary, and I picked up two pieces of fabric. The first one is this one, and it's this lovely turquoise. I love turquoise. I've got so much turquoise in my closet, but I thought it was so pretty and so bright, and if I make a long sleeve top with this fabric, it's a color that could be worn 4 seasons. So even if there's a cold day in June, I could wear a top that's made out of this fabric. This particular fabric is a cotton, they call it a cotton rib. It's very fine. Excuse me. It's very fine, and this is 95% cotton and 5% elastane. It's 237 grams per square meter, so it's a nice weight. It feels a lot like a cotton interlock to me, so nice for a rugby shirt or something like that. It's what we used to wear polo shirts and rugby shirts out of cotton interlock. It's got a fair bit of stretch. I don't know how fantastic the recovery is. So I bought this thinking this would be a really nice top. And then I saw this particular piece of fabric in the store and I thought, oh, I want to buy that too. So I did. And this is a bamboo French terry. It's this pretty dusky mauve. It's pretty close to one of my colors, close enough that I decided to buy it. And I thought this was kind of a nice autumnal print with the gold colored marigolds and chrysanthemums. You can see it's a French terry. And this particular fabric is 67% bamboo rayon, 25% cotton, and what's that, 3% elastane? Whatever the leftover is elastane. And this is 230 grams per square meter. So these are almost the exact same weight, but totally different drape, as you can see. This one is kind of a little firmer, and this is a much softer hand. I brought the fabric home and went looking for a pattern, and I already had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to make. And that was something with puffy sleeves. I'm all about puffy sleeves this year. In the summer, I made the Cashmere Club Kinnerton dress, and I wasn't thrilled with the sleeves, and that's because, I know now, With the woven, the sleeves just stuck out too much and they added width to me, and I didn't like that look. But in a knit top, puffy sleeves don't stick out as much. And puffy sleeves add a little bit of width to you. So here I am wearing the top, and you can see that, yeah, I've got a little bit more width to my shoulders, which helps balance my body. So I wanted a pattern that has puffy sleeves, and I had one that I had already purchased, but I hadn't printed it out. And that's the Love Notions Arlington Sweater. This has many options: mock neck, turtleneck, cowl neck, dress length, top length, bishop sleeves, straight sleeves, short puffy sleeves, 3/4 length sleeves, long puffy sleeves. Long puffy sleeves is what I chose. So I decided to use this fabric just because it's a little bit drapier and I knew that it would be nicer on the shoulder. My concern with this fabric is that the sleeves might not lie as nicely at the gathers. So I don't necessarily think this particular fabric is great for gathers, but I'll use it for something else. We'll talk about that in a minute. I measured very carefully my body, the pattern pieces, and I looked at the finished garment measurements. I don't always trust finished garment measurements. Doesn't matter who the pattern maker is, I always double check. And I pretty much perfectly fit the XL with the full bust option. I've got a little bit of extra room in my hips, which is fine, so I didn't make any changes there. But I did make 2 minor alterations, just so it would fit better. The first was that I added 1.25 inches to the length of the sleeves. If my wrists are cold or my lower arms are cold, I'm cold. And the sleeves were just gonna hit a little bit high, and I didn't want to spend the whole winter walking around, putting my hands into warm water to stay warm. So I made the sleeves 1.25 inches longer. And also for the sleeves, I think a telltale sign of homemade garments is really wide sleeves. If you look at a lot of the t-shirts and things that I've made that are big 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, the sleeves are often too wide. So I cut the XL in the shoulder and then tapered down to the large for the width of the sleeves, and I think they fit quite nicely now. Not too wide, a lot more like my ready-to-wear tops. Those were the only 2 changes that I made. Cut it out, sewed it up, sewed most of it on the serger. It went together so quickly, probably 1.5 hours top, because there's nothing to it. I did make one mistake. Of course, I made a mistake. I was tired and I sewed the neckband on back to front. Actually serged it. So I very carefully unpicked it. It went on just fine. I was very careful. Took my time. It was very zen-like, so it turned out fine. However, I'm going to start using, I couldn't get a Frixion pen to work on this, so I'm going to start using painter's tape more often to mark back or front or whatever needs to be marked. But it turned out very well. It's super comfortable. This French terry is just lovely. Very much like it. And it feels warm but not hot. And it's something that I would wear around the house, or it works perfectly under the shacket that I sewed last fall, the cream colored shacket. Something that I could wear out and feel like I'm presentable and comfortable at home. So this is the Love Notions Arlington Sweater, and it's my entry in Long Sleeves 2023. Now, as I said, if you're interested in entering the contest, just post a picture of your make on Instagram before November 1st. I know a lot of you don't like to post on Instagram, and I totally get that. If you want to enter, you've got an Instagram account, here are a couple of options. You can take a flat lay picture. So just lay the garment out artfully on the ground or on your bed and take a picture looking down. Then you can post it. You can add accessories and everything. Or you can take a picture of you wearing it and cut off your head. or blur your face or do whatever. That's really easy to do with an iPhone. And that way you can enter and maybe get a chance to win something. So this is what I have made. I do have a couple of other plans for things for the next couple of weeks. So I am going to make a couple more tops interspersed with the other two projects that I plan to work on this fall. This fabric, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it. I have a couple of patterns in mind. Both of them are a little more structured so that I can take advantage of this fabric that really kind of feels like cotton interlock that we used to use in the 80s. It's all about the 80s these days. But the next thing that I'm sewing is something I'm going to start today, and that's for a sew along on Instagram. Not a contest, just a bunch of us using the same pattern. We're making the Mauve French Dart shift. I used this pattern in 2019 for my dress for Atlanta Frocktails, and I've worn that dress a few times, and I loved it. It's a very elegant shaped dress with the French darts and the lovely collar. When I made it the last time, I used a stretch woven, and the pattern does not call for anything with stretch, but I used a stretch woven last time, so I actually went looking for a stretch woven. Didn't find anything I liked. But I found a knit that is relatively stable. Relatively being the key word. I guess it is pretty stable. And I'm going to make it up with this. I got this fabric at Fabricland. It's a fairly beefy fabric. It's very similar to the fabric that I used for the vest that I made, the gray vest that I made in the spring. But it's got this nice texture. This is the wrong side of it. In the store, it looked like it had a purple cast. But now it really just looks like denim, which is absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with having something in denim. But I'm going to, instead of making the shift dress, I'm going to make this with long sleeves, and I'm going to make it either tunic or top length. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to look at some pictures of things that I have and decide what would work best. But it's really a very simple dress, and it has the nice shaping of the French darts. So that's the next thing I'm making, and I'll show that to you in a week or two when it's done. That's what I've been working on for the past little while in my sewing room. I'm loving being able to sew in natural light. It makes such a difference. I'll be back in a week or two to show you how this turned out. I hope that you're working on something fun, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.